Everyone, welcome to another edition of the Farm Down NFL podcast with me, Jim, and Denver Dave. We're talking about the NFL. Boy, how we doing?
Boy, how we doing?
Boy, boy,
Today
Dave, how we
I
doing?
today I self-identify as Finn, I think you'll find. So I'm feeling Seattle-ish, which feels
hmm
rainy in my heart.
Why?
No, I'm all right. I don't know. It's funny to say.
We're out on the loop here because it's our final one before the draft, basically, and this is the pod that we were supposed to do a couple of weeks ago, before our mock draft, and
Before
this
Dave went
is
on holiday and didn't tell
before
you
you
until the
ran
last
away
minute.
from me, Dave, and left
Wasn't
me
me.
with nothing to
I'm
do.
Finn. I'm Finn. It was Dave. It was
If I
his
catch
fault.
that, Dave, I'm going to
Glad,
have a strong word
bloody
with him.
idiot.
Well, out of pressure, diamonds are made, and I managed to get that podcast done with three awesome other pods as a collaboration. So that was really good. So I'm kind of happy that it's worked out this way. And of course, our
Yeah.
favorite. This pod's all about our favorites for the draft. So that doesn't really interfere with the mock draft or anything else. These are timeless. Um, these are the guys that we're rooting for going into the draft, I assume. That's what I've gone for anyway. There are no first rounders, I don't think, in my
I
favorites.
I've got a guy who, I mean, any of them could go up to the first
Anyone
round.
could.
One of mine could, because I rank him as a second rounder.
So could one of
He
mine.
could he could go up for the first, but I don't know.
Okay.
So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Obviously, we'll go one at a time. I don't know who you picked. You don't know who I picked. Is that
No
our
idea
guys?
whatsoever. Nope,
Um,
no idea whatsoever.
my first favorite. I'm going to go with the safer one. I'm going to go with the guy that might get in the first round. Um,
Okay.
wide receiver,
Okay.
South Carolina Gamecocks, Xavier Legette or Legette, Xavier Legette.
Okay.
I love Xavier
Okay.
Legette. This guy has only got one good stat year, or great stat year, I should say. And it's his last one. Now that sometimes raises a red flag. If you're Kenny Pickett, that raises a red flag. Joe Burrow, it worked out okay. You know, so why was his last year his
Yeah,
best one,
but
and why
Joe
were the
Burrow
other ones
didn't
not
have a
great?
good year.
I
Joe
said
Burrow had a
great.
legendary year, 65
Yes.
touchdowns.
Well, I mean, Kenny Pickett's last for his era was legendary as Kenny
It
Pickett,
was
but
okay.
yeah, it was all right. Um, but Xavier Legette, okay, he was messed around with in high school. I don't know how much you know about the background of Xavier, but this guy was messed around in high school. He started off as a wide receiver, and then he had his mum pass away. She lost her battle with cancer while he was still in high school, and his final year at high school, they switched him to quarterback because he was so athletic. They went, well, actually, maybe you can do something at quarterback, and so that stunted his wide receiver development. He goes to South Carolina. Um, he then gray shirts his freshman year because his dad passes away as well, 2019. So he's lost both his
Jesus.
parents um, with his first year of college. So he only plays one game or a couple of games um, in 2019. So he gray shirts that year. 2020, there's a COVID impact, obviously that messed up everything. 2021, they changed their head coach. That's great, from Will Muschamp to Shane Beamer. He also has a motorcycle accident in 2021, so he only played 11 games, and of those, only four were starts. So that's why, the first 3 years, basically, he's got almost nothing on his stat line. But 2022, he's behind a couple of fifth-year starters at receiver, but he did impress on special teams with a 100-yard opening kickoff return against Texas A&M. He had the best game of his career in the Gator Bowl against Notre Dame. Career high 7 catches for a career high 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of those was a 42-yard touchdown reception. And in 2023, he finally gets his chance. He's got Spencer Rattler a second year with the two of them together. Throwing his way, he's got 71 receptions, was more than the next two players on the squad combined. He had 600-yard receiving games, returned 10 kickoffs for a 21.3-yard average, had at least 5 receptions in 10 games, 10 of 12 games, was injured in the 2 games. He didn't get the at least 5 catches. So, yeah, without even talking about how he plays, this guy's been through the ringer. And I love underdog stories. I'm a proper Rocky Balboa fan, So anyone that's got a story behind it, I'm rooting for them. And Xavier Legette has the story behind him of just suffering and struggling. And he's finally had a chance to put everything together, and he did. And he's taken that chance. At the combine, he was great. The 40-yard dash time of 4.39 was the sixth fastest for receivers. That's the same as Lad McConkey, and there's a 35-pound difference between Lad McConkey and Xavier Legette. So not all receivers are built the same. Xavier
Well,
Legette has a
it's
much bigger
also
frame.
if you're bigger, it's more likely to transition into the NFL because you're wearing bigger pads and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I'm familiar with Legette, and you've gone heavy on the stats as normal.
Yes.
So I've got two questions for you based on what you've just
Sure.
said. Number one, which is the best Rocky film?
I always had an inkling for four.
Ah, you see, it's three.
I
I
like
reckon it's
Drago.
three. I reckon
It
it's
might
three.
be. It might be.
Yeah, B.A.
Two's
Baracus.
underrated as well. But one and two are
No.
basically the same, aren't they? There's a
One and
continuation.
two's yeah, it's a continuation of one and the other.
Yeah.
Second question, which is more importantly, pro comp. What are you going for? Because I've got a pro comp in my mind, and it can be accused of being lazy, which I will accept, but I'll
I'll
explain in a moment.
okay. I'll my pro comp for him, I think you'll like it, is Demarius Thomas.
Okay, interesting. I'm a big Demaryius Thomas fan. God rest his
Well, you
soul.
should be.
Mine is college Debo Samuel. Now, forget about the Debo Samuel that's in the league now. It's a different beast,
Yeah,
entirely
yeah, yeah,
different
yeah.
beast. And it's lazy because they went to the same college.
Yes.
And essentially, so it is lazy. But when you look at the way Debo was in college, I think you get that with Legette, but I don't think Legette will turn into Debo. I
No.
think the pro comp he'll turn into, I get, is Hollywood Brown.
Okay.
That's where I fall down. Do you see where I mean about the Hollywood
Yeah.
Brown,
He's definitely
the
more of a
way he
deep threat.
plays? Oh,
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But it's whether or not he transitions to the NFL.
I just love
Because
the way he gets the separation still. He's so quick. He's so smooth. He's got such great hands. He just pulls the ball in. Contested catch is not a problem for him. He's what, if you haven't guessed, he's who I'd like us to take in round two. If
really, you
we've
do
taken
shock
Jackson
me.
Bowles-Johnson in round one. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be around though. I think maybe the Panthers nick him at 33. He's close to being a first round talent if he's not going in the first. So that was my first one is Xavier Legette. I love Xavier Legette. I really
Yep.
hope he does well.
Sorry,
He's a
trust.
great guy.
My first one is Bo Nix. No, I'm only joking.
It better not be. I tell
I'm
you
only
what.
joking. So mine is Mike Sainristil. So
Hmm.
it's a cornerback,
Cornerback, yeah.
plays for Michigan. Now, one of the reasons that I've picked him is because he started off as a wide receiver, and it's again that thing of just being messed around and put in different positions. And he said he wasn't a wide receiver quite some time ago.
Hmm.
Harbaugh moved him to defense 2 years ago. Um, Before that, he'd played a little bit of sort of playing nickel and coming in on special teams and stuff like that. He basically went back to play defense 2 years ago, can play anywhere across the backfield, either safety position, strong or free safety. And basically, oh, and he played inside Mike linebacker as well, which is great. So basically, last season, he was the best defender on the best defense in college football. It's as simple as that. That's all you need to think of. The reason he's probably going to go in the second round, oh, and he was captain as well of that Michigan team, or
Yeah.
one of the captains. The reason he's going to go in the second round is he's only got 2 years of snaps. That's it. That's all he has, nothing else. So it's really, really hard to pin down a first round grade. But I'm convinced a team is going to fall in love with him, probably the Lions, and draft him in the first round.
He's also only 5'10",
Yes.
which means he's the smallest of like the top 20 corners
But
in the draft.
I think what will happen, I don't necessarily think he'll stay at corner because he could transition to any of the back four, potentially five, or any linebacker position because I think he's that good a transition player. I think you can roll on him. And a lot of safeties in the league aren't over 6 foot.
No, I mean he's got great acceleration. You're right, and he closes
Yes.
throw windows down very quickly. Great at converting into interceptions as well.
Well,
Um,
the other point which no one ever does in college, like no one does in college, he manipulates the quarterbacks, which a lot of
mm,
safeties just can't do. A lot of safeties in the NFL can't do that. So he's able to move position. He's a real asset because if you're playing quarterback against him, you say, right, spot the safety. Well, you don't know where he's playing. So
mm.
you're going, is he a safety? Is he a pass rusher? Is he playing,
He's back
will
there somewhere.
linebacker? What is he doing? And so I think he's a big, big weapon that could end up being a massive, massive positive. So yeah, Mike Sainristil, Michigan captain, defensive back.
What's your comp for him then?
Um,
I got one.
I want to. You've got one.
Yeah, I got one.
Go on then.
Mike Hilton, ex-Steeler. I think he went to the Bengals
Mm,
afterwards. He was very much a bit of a Swiss Army knife, very good at kind of mirroring the receiver and staying close. I liked Mike Hilton when he was at the Steelers. Hate him now, obviously.
I obviously.
Dead to me
I
now.
would say. Why is it a T, Jim?
Sorry?
I mean, as a Seahawks fan, I don't mind either way, to be perfectly honest. So,
Fine.
I would say Brian Branch is the closest I can get because if you
Oh,
wanted to push him out and play corner, you could. But he's a
mm,
solid. And let's be honest, you could bring Brian Branch up and play him as a middle linebacker.
yeah,
So
you could. I'm not
you
sure I'd do
could.
the same thing with a 5'10",
No, but
like
no, in
Sainristil.
college he's done that, and the fact that he's able to do that and can pass rush as well, you wouldn't get away with that in
As
the
you love
NFL.
to say, Dave, it's just college. Just college. It's
It's
not
just
NFL.
college. It's just college.
Doesn't
But
count.
what I have come up with for each of my players is who I think they should go to as their perfect landing spot. And for
Okay,
him, I pick you the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think they need defensive back help,
they do.
and you can get him and basically say, okay, where do you best fit? Because we've got needs all over the shop, and you can fit into any one of those. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like you and Jackson Powers Johnson. It doesn't. You can pick him because he's a guard or a center, and you need both a guard and a center. So pick him. Which one's he best at? Put him there.
We really need a centre, but yeah, he can play at guard and a pinch as well. Um,
Yeah.
right, okay, so that's good. Good solid start. I think two people that other people should know that are listening to this. I'm going to go for my deep cut wide receiver now, Dave. So don't know if you've
Love a
heard
wide
of him or
receiver.
not. This is my only other one in these five. All right, Anaya Smith, wide receiver from Texas A&M.
Yeah.
If you want someone fun to watch, then Anaya Smith has got you covered. Started out as a
And
running back.
small. And very small.
Well, he's still got you covered for the
He's
excitement bit.
tiny.
He's not tiny. He
Yes.
started out as a running back, and it shows when he catches the ball because he's not afraid to work over the middle of the field, and just seems to be the last second option for the whatever quarterback is throwing for Texas A&M that week. Um, he's also very good as a kick and punt returner, so he's probably gonna get his first time in the league on special teams. Someone's going to take a punt on him. Obviously, the new rule changes on kickoffs and punts. This guy that might have bumped him up a little bit. So 2019 was his first season. He was the top special teams newcomer. Played in 12 games with 3 starts for Texas A&M. 2020 led the team with 564 receiving yards on 43 receptions. Tied the team lead with 6 receiving touchdowns. Played all 10 games with 6 starts. 2021 he started 12 games, led the team with 47 receptions and 509 yards. 2020 only started 4 games in 2022 because he fractured his leg, which is a thing that he's been kind of still recovering from all through 2023. But he did still lead the team in receptions last year, 795 receiving yards. That's an average of 15 yards a play, and played in 12 games with 9 starts. He's the only SEC player to ever hit 2,000 yards receiving, 250 yards rushing, 250 yards kick return, and 250 yards punt return in his career.
The thing I'll say about Texas A&M is their offense last year was diabolical. They've
Mm.
got about 4 or 5 players on defense who are going to get drafted this year. Their offense was unwatchable, so I didn't stick around whenever their games were on. I didn't stick around to watch any of the offense, so can't provide anything on him other than he's got a bit of a funny name,
Yeah,
Smith.
there were a few different quarterbacks thrown to him last year, but
Yeah,
he still
Texas A&M
managed
was
to
a
produce.
mess.
Yeah, it was. But as I just said there, he still came out of it looking really good. I like Anaya Smith as that third receiver, someone that's not afraid to go across the middle. Like I said, he works shallow cross really well, so he knows when to be open at the last second for a quarterback just to get that dump off pass. And he's got the strength, like I said, as an ex running back to deliver a
So
hit through the middle. He's not afraid of that.
So your first pick, Legette, you want to go to the Steelers. Where's Anais Smith's best landing spot? Where are you putting him?
I'm not sure where he goes. I haven't really thought about where they're going to go, but
You
whoever
think of it
takes
now.
him,
I've thought of a spot immediately where I think he'd go. I think he'd be.
Arizona would be pretty good, I think.
Oh no, no, they're
What do
going
you
to
mean? Oh,
shine
I
money more
can't
than
say one
Harrison.
now.
No, no, no. I could just give you my opinion though. I
Go on
reckon
then.
Indianapolis
Yeah, that's another one.
because they got a quarterback who likes to extend the play, and if you
He
can get a guy
does.
who can get
Kind of
open,
likes to extend the play.
big old chunk yards. Yeah, but
Yes.
Kyler likes extending the play and then not passing to anyone and just running around in circles
This
with normally
Anais
7
gives you someone
Raiders
to
running
throw
after
at
him.
now.
This is true.
My comp for him was
This is very
Christian
true.
Kirk, in case you're wondering.
Uh, yeah.
When
Christian Kirk's
did,
different
have
players, but
watched
yeah.
more of him, Dave. Have a look at the video, and you
Okay.
better see some of his highlights.
I say I've only ever seen like a couple of snaps, so I don't know why I'm saying not really Christian Kirk, because
Trust me,
yeah. But Christian Kirk's not what you've just described. Do you know what I mean?
he's a
So
yak guy.
a little bit more downfield, though, more of a deep threat.
It's just my comp. It doesn't matter. Have a look at the guy.
Yeah.
People that are listening to this hopefully are watching on the video on YouTube and on Patreon,
Oh, we're
and so they
recording,
can
aren't we?
also
Let me
see
sort my
this.
hair out. Hang on.
No, we're not showing you on the Patreon, Dave.
Okay, good.
We'll
Excellent.
lose subscribers if we do that. So,
I
we're
told you
just
I'm thin. I'm a good-looking young man today. Not hideous, Dave.
the flair and incredible hair of Finn. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I know. So that's my second one, Anais Smith, Texas A&M.
Cool. So I'm gonna go for a third stroke fourth rounder. And I'm gonna go defense again and another defensive back,
Okay,
unfortunately. Kitan Oladapo.
bless
So
you.
you're welcome. I knew you were gonna say that.
I'm
So
channeling
my
Punk now.
I know, right? So I think he's a day one starter at safety. If you watch his tape, he jumps off the screen. Every play that happens is there or thereabouts. He's one of the safeties who knows in college football, knows when to come forward and attack the play, when to sit back, when to basically manipulate the movement of the game to make sure that he's Johnny on the spot.
Hmm.
I think he could slide into the slot. He's not the tallest, so I'm not sure that's going to happen. Could even potentially play nickel. Has a great attitude. Every time you see him, he's there, and like that, the tackle happens. He's the first one up, jumping up and down, saying, "Come on, guys!" You can see just he jumps off the field as being a, I don't know if you want to say a leader, but just a guy who gets the team going. Sometimes you see in NFL teams who're just on their arse. As a Broncos fan, I've seen quite a lot of this.
Yeah,
I mean, Seahawks fan, obviously Seahawks.
yeah.
So and you see the players just make a tackle and they sort of get up and walk away, and then you see players chatting to each other. And you just think, come on, we just need a spark, something to go. He's the spark constantly. When they played Nebraska and they were down in their arse by about 40 points, still going, still going. So I think having that attitude in the NFL is going to really, really help. I think it's a good value day one starter because he's got so much versatility in being able to play everywhere. And the team he should go to, Denver. That's why I picked him.
Is this one of your late round guys you want to go to
I
Denver,
think
right?
he's a third or fourth. He could. So um, I've got him ranked on my big board 60. CBS have got him 121. PFF have got him 140. So
Hmm.
it's what you like. I just like the attitude and I like the enthusiasm for it and the fact he can actually play, which I'm a big fan of. So yeah, there you go. Kaitan Oladapo.
Oladapo. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you've gone defense, so I'm going to do my third guy as a defensive player. And this is a little bit of a cheat because he was almost certainly going to be a first rounder up until about a couple of weeks ago. T'Vondre Sweat, defensive tackle from Texas. This boy is a space invader, a true defensive tackle. He lost weight to get down to 362 pounds. He eats double teams, so that explains a lot. You can just watch him dog walking centers and guards back into the quarterback. He doesn't get to the quarterback very often, but if you're running back, don't try and run near him because he will just end that play. And don't try and throw over him because he's elite at getting his hands up at the right time to deflect the pass. It's very rare that you see a guy doing both things, um, but he does it. I can't help but be impressed every time I watch this guy. And the reason that he's not a nailed on first rounder at the moment is because a couple of weeks ago he had a DUI. Um, he had a crash on a Sunday morning. I mean, Sunday morning, we're actually talking about like 4:40 in the morning when everyone's in bed. So
That's not Sunday morning. That's Saturday night.
Saturday night still for him. Yeah, he's
That's
he's
Saturday
been
night.
silly. Um, the the recording showed he was over the limit, obviously, but you don't have to be much to be over the limit. Now, obviously, in a
No
362-pound
excuses. No
boy,
excuses.
I just don't. He's not like he's like stumbling around or anything. We don't know the exact extent of it, but it's moved him down a little bit on some draft. Well, potentially, at least on the mock drafts, he might still go for first round. He is that impressive to me that he's just consistent. I love watching T'Vondre Sweat.
Who's your player comp from? Is it Henry Ruggs? Rashawn Rice. Go on. What?
It's been a long time since we've seen like that massive defensive tackle. If someone like
Ashawn Robinson.
Vita Vea or someone, he's bigger than Vita Vea,
Oh,
but he's that kind of disruptor through the middle. This huge Hulk that just, like I said, he just moves the entire middle of the line backwards into the quarterback. And if he doesn't get the quarterback himself, if you dare to throw it anywhere near him, his hand comes up and just bats it down like Kong. He just finds the ball. He deflects passes so often. So unless you're going to the outside or you're throwing to the hashes, don't try it because this guy will end the play every time. I love Tavondre Sweat. Love watching him.
so every
Yeah,
time I've seen him
he's
at
going high.
Texas, every time I've seen him at Texas, he's been a run stuffer, and he's always reminded me of Ashawn Robinson.
Hmm.
If he's blocking passes at the line, then that's Shelby Harris, because that's what Shelby Harris used to do for a living. Literally, he was unbelievable at it. A mix of Ashawn Robinson and Shelby Harris, I can dig that.
Yeah,
Is he any relation to Montez Sweat?
I don't believe
Do we
so.
know?
I don't believe so. But if you get scared about the fact they had a DUI, there is another guy, Christian Boyd from North Iowa, who is about 80%, but with none of the
Hey,
DUIs.
don't
So
be mentioning other people. This is just cheating. This
I'm
is
just
just
saying,
cheating now.
I'm just saying. But I love
I
Tavondre
want what?
Sweat. So
Do you know what? I'm only drafting players who don't have a driving license. That's the first thing. It's like, you got a car?
no, no,
Out. I'm not
you
having any.
had one, you
Nothing.
lost it.
No, that's the Pittsburgh way of doing it.
That is absolutely not. But there we go.
Yeah.
That's my third one.
So I'm going for my last and favorite defensive back.
Okay. God damn
So
it, Dave. What have you been doing?
sorry,
Have you
it's my
watched any
last
other
one.
position group?
Yes,
All right.
Elijah Jones. Now, if you haven't watched Elijah Jones, go and watch him. He is the most underrated player in the NFL draft.
Okay.
Simple as.
Tell us about him.
Um, so I first saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he did really, really well. But I'm always filled with suspicion at the Senior Bowl because how much of the guys actually playing? Is it just a glorified Pro Bowl? It's better than a glorified Pro Bowl. It's probably doing it some bad. So I went back and watched him at Boston College, and he is the Boston College defense, like
Okay.
legit unbelievable. Had an interception against Syracuse where over the middle ripped it out of the wide receiver's hands and ran off with it. So good. That was his second pick of the game as well. The first one was in the end zone where again he just changed direction in midair. It was kind of remember the CeeDee Lamb catch in the end zone where he had to change direction and sort of flip his hands out. It was
Yes.
similar to that one.
Yeah.
And he also had fumble recovery against Florida State for a pick six as well. Not pick six, but fumble six, if you call it
Hmm.
that. Don't
Hmm.
know. He is a guy who I hope the Broncos pick up because I think he's massive value. Go in the third or the fourth. I've got him at 61. I pick him up in the second round without any hesitation. I think he's that good. My comp for him is Tre'Davious White. So I think the Bills will be interested, and they could do with the back, to be honest, because Tre'Davious White's left.
Yeah.
Other comps seem to be Greg Newsome. I don't see it, but it's not a bad comp, in
These are
fairness.
first round picks we're comping here.
Yeah,
So
he's
why
honestly,
why has no one heard of him then, Dave?
because he plays for Boston College.
No, come on. Why? Why really? What's he done?
Plays for Boston College. That's
Is
it.
he injured a lot?
Nope.
Got one leg shorter than the other?
Nope. Not as far as I know. I've got him at 61. I think he's brilliant.
Gambling problem?
I think he's absolutely brilliant. It really has. I've got Kaiton Oladapo at 60 and him at 61.
Yeah, I
So
did.
I
I did
value
notice
those
that.
two very, very close together. But no, honestly, go and watch some of his game tape. He's always there or thereabouts. He tackles through the player. And there's a couple of times when you can see him, he'll get hit by another player coming in because he kind of, in a weird way, gets double teamed as a defensive back. So
Hmm.
they'll put they'll throw it to the receiver, and then the receiver will have another man on him to block ahead because they know that receiver is going to get absolutely speared. How that translates to the NFL, we will see. But yeah, Elijah Jones, Boston College.
The biggest
So there you go.
secret, obviously. Um,
I think he's the most underrated player. He's the guy who's jumped off the board for me the most since I've been watching him. I've only been watching him a month or so.
mhm.
But yeah, I'm so hoping that he ends up in Colorado, obviously.
Okay, so my fourth favorite going into the draft is a running back. And as I said at the start, I'm all about the underdog, and there's not much bigger underdog in this draft than Ray Davis from Kentucky.
Talk
He
to me
was
about Ray Davis then.
Ray Davis was homeless in San Francisco as a kid. Most of his life he was in juvie hall because his mum was 15 when she had him. Both parents were in and out of prison his whole life. He was missing school at age 9 because he was walking his younger sister to school, then walking back home to look after his little brother. At 12, they were all put into a homeless shelter. His siblings found a home that would only take two, so he nominated himself to stay in the homeless shelter while his siblings went off and had a foster parents. He ended up living with a former teacher for 3 years. He then got a scholarship at New York boarding school after getting permission from San Fran to leave the state because obviously he was a ward of the state, so he had to get permission to leave California. Um, he ended up at Temple in 2019. He led the team with 936 rushing yards on 193 carries, so averaged just under 5 yards a rush. 8 rushing touchdowns, played in 12 games with 5 starts. The second year at Temple, he started the first 4 games before opting out and entering the transfer portal in November. He went down to Nashville to Vanderbilt for the next 2 seasons. He played his first 3 games in 2021 before suffering a season-ending toe injury. And then in 2022, he led the team with 1,042 yards on 232 carries. Again, just under 5 yards a touch, 5 touchdowns, started all 12 games. And then in 2023, he went to Kentucky. So he was second team All SEC there. His last year in Kentucky, he had 21 total touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns, 7 receiving touchdowns, and led the team with nearly 1,500 total yards. He set school records with 21 total touchdowns, starting all 13 games. He tied a single game school record with 4 rushing touchdowns versus Florida on 26 carries, 280 yards. 2 scores against Alabama, 2 scores against Georgia, South Carolina, Louisville, Tennessee. These weren't scrubs; these were big teams. The only game he
I mean, he
didn't
plays
score
in the
last
SEC. He
season,
plays in the SEC, so he's playing against good
but he
teams.
scored
I
two,
get it.
he scored against all those teams. The only game he didn't
Yeah.
score against last season was Mississippi State. He just looks dangerous every time he's on the field. He's not got great like elite acceleration or skittish lateral movement, but he is quick when he gets going. So people don't usually catch him. And he's a bloodhound for the end zone. He loves scoring, as I've just mentioned there. Every team, he kind of slaloms his way down. He's so strong as well. I love watching Ray Davis when he goes just to the outside, hits the hole, and he's gone. Uh, it's great to watch, and the story is even better. So whatever happens to him, I hope that he has a fairly long career for a running back at
So,
least. You know,
so tell me about his story then.
yeah.
Not the story you've already told me. You told me his backstory. You told me his future story. So, what are you expecting? First of all, what type of teams are going to go to? Is he going to be a day one starter? What? Tell me what your story. Because I've got a running back next, and
hmm
I think I know what his story will be.
I think he'll go somewhere that's probably going to use him on special teams first because he did do returns at least earlier on in his career. Like I said, Kentucky he balled out, so he didn't need to do so much of that. But I think you're looking at someone that's going to be a depth guy. I don't know if he's really good enough on third down pass protection. Some people say he is, some people say he's not. So I guess the team that takes him will evaluate that. If they think he's good enough and they put him in on third down, then he's got a chance to show off and be a kind of a second year guy, So maybe the first year he just has to establish himself. The second year he gets a proper chance to make some plays and get noticed. So I don't really mind exactly. Again, I haven't thought about where he's going to go. But whoever takes him, they've got a real diamond in the rough there, a guy that's going to give everything for the chance. He won't
Yeah.
let it go.
Okay. I mean, I love a story as much as anyone.
Mm.
Um, I he's not stood out to me as someone I've watched before, so I've got very little opinion of him.
We're looking at our
Um,
guys rather than
yes,
these.
absolutely.
We've done the mock draft. We've looked at the big guns. These are the guys that you want to see do well when you've just got like, oh, I really like the
Yeah,
story behind this guy. I like how he plays. It matches up well. That's what we're looking for in this episode. We're not going for day one or
yeah.
even potentially day two starters.
I've gone for day three
Yeah.
on this running back. I hadn't heard of him until fairly recently, and a guy on a mock that I was watching, I can't remember what it was. He mentioned him, and I went back and watched some tape. And my comp for him is Zach Charbonnet,
Okay.
sort of that inside speedy power runner, that kind of player. I've
Hmm.
only seen highlights, not seen him in a full game, but I really like him, and it's an underdog. He goes to Marshall. That's how far down we're talking.
Marshall.
And yeah, his name's Rasheen Ali or Rasheen Ali.
Hmm.
6 foot 210, big old bruising running back. My story for him, and this is what I think will happen. In about 6 months, you're going to go, Dave, who was that running back that you mentioned? Is he even on a roster? I think he'll get picked up by the Titans because the Titans need to replace Derrick Henry, and I think they'll roll on someone.
Hmm.
And he'll probably stick on the practice squad, maybe come in and be a bit of a returner. I don't think he's a punt returner at all, but maybe be a kick returner. Titans are going to realize that Tony Pollard's rubbish, and they're going to have to stick with him because they're giving him a decent sized contract, and they're not going to want to bring a new guy in. He's going to get his opportunity late in season 1,
We've got
and
Tajay
they're going to,
Spears as well, haven't they?
yeah, but I mean, well, he ain't the guy either. So, and they are
He's a
replacing
guy.
Derrick Henry. He's a guy. He's definitely a
Mm.
guy. Although you're not allowed to gender anyone now, so who knows? So I
Guy's
think
kind of
Rasheen Ali
non-gender now.
gets a few. No comment. He gets a few runs towards the end of first season. Okay, second season looks great in preseason. Maybe sits on the practice squad again. Breaks out towards the end of the second year. Third year, shit up. And the
Okay.
benefit for me is by the time that third year comes around, you're going to have forgotten all about this. You're not going to be able to rag on me if I'm wrong. But I really, really like
I'm writing it
Rasheen
down
Ali.
now, Rasheen Ali.
Rasheen Ali. Yeah, it's very, very, very
I
good.
just found he was
I
244 on PFF's depth chart.
244. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
CBS have got him 337. I think he goes in like the
He's
seventh.
trending in the right way.
Yes,
Okay.
I think he goes in about the seventh. He might even get picked up as an undrafted free agent. But you know, one of those guys who you watch and he just looks like an honest back, and there's no history on it. 'Cause there's no sort of slamming the ball in the end zone. He just does his job. Was good on blocking as well.
Takes a
Yeah, I
briefcase to
think
work. Yeah. Just an honest guy.
sure, whatever you're into.
Packs a lunch.
He reminds me of a bit of a Rocky Balboa, just to get you on
Yeah.
board. But
Excellent.
yeah, I think Titans will see him in a couple of years and be like, "Who's this guy? Oh, he was drafted in like 2024. Jesus Christ, from
Hmm.
Marshall. Wow, okay." And then you'll have me in the background going, "Oh, he's the guy I told you about." And you're
Ah.
like, "Oh yeah, Dave, shut up. You got one right. You're
You'll get
still
your
reeling
flowers
from
if he gets some time.
yeah,
Don't worry, Dave. Don't worry.
yeah. You're still reeling from Bo Nix being the MVP. I'm like, yes, I am.
I mean, things that will never happen for 50, please.
Well,
Um,
maybe.
okay. What? So, okay, just an honest back. I mean, what's his specialty? Is
So
he
the specialty
paint a
basically
picture
is
for me?
his
How big
ability
is
to
he?
his ability to break tackles. I mean, he plays at 210. That's exactly what he is.
Hmm.
He's a decent sized back. The players he's been playing against at Marshall aren't going to be, they're not NFL level,
No.
which is why he's not going to walk into a starting role. But it's his ability to change direction at speed. None of this is elite. None of it is Bijan Robinson, for example.
Well,
He's not
no,
bouncing off tackles because
no.
if he was, he'd be much, much higher. But the fact is,
We'd have heard of
he's
him.
going to
Yeah.
he's going to get drafted from Marshall, which in itself is an
Maybe.
achievement. No, it's an achievement. It's a massive
No,
achievement.
maybe he gets drafted. Maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he gets drafted, maybe he doesn't. That's why I say if he goes as an undrafted free agent, that's fine as well.
Hmm.
Philip Lindsay
Hmm.
was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, and look at him now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got two 1,000-yard seasons
He
behind him.
certainly does. Yeah.
He certainly does. So I think you've got a number of a number of teams who carry, 3, 4, 5, 6 backs. I
Mm.
think he's got the talent and the drive, and just that I don't want to say determination because it sounds garbage, but you know what I mean. That power to be able to go through a tackle, and you can see that he's giving everything. Some players just you can see aren't giving anything. They hit the tackle, go down, next play. When he's powering through on every single play, he's fighting for it, and I think that takes you from being an undrafted free agent to a practice squad onto a roster, and that's why I like him.
Yeah, you're looking for those guys that are really going to compete for a
Yeah,
roster spot, and then when they're in there, you're never
they make the
comfortable.
most of it.
So yeah, but they'll constantly try.
And he might bounce around to 5, 6, 7 teams. He absolutely might do that. But one thing is certain, he absolutely will get the chance to be on a roster next year. If he gets drafted, great. If he doesn't, I understand that as well.
Hmm. Okay, it's last call now. So Um, Mine, I've saved my favorite for last, and you might guess it, but it's a guy that isn't going to go in the first round. But a few years ago, he might have done. It's
Is it
certainly
Spanky
that
Rattler?
it is Spencer Rattler. Yeah,
Ah,
this
I
guy,
thought you might.
he feels very similar to Jalen Hurts to me. Again, it's all about the journey and a guy that faced a lot of adversity, but he swam rather than sank. I remember reading a long form article about Spencer Rattler back, I think it was maybe 2018 when he was still in high school. Um, it might have been Sports Illustrated. There was someone, a massive, like 5, 6 pager about Spencer Rattler, about this new kid that's going to be the next big thing. Um, by the end of his second year at high school, he had received 14 offers from Division One schools, including Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami. He signs a letter of intent for Oklahoma and turns up there in 2019. He also, before that, got further attention from a documentary on Netflix, QB1 Beyond the Lights, for good and for bad. He redshirts his freshman year at Oklahoma. In 2020, he has a good season, but the team aren't elite. It's all a bit inconsistent. He still throws 28 touchdowns to 7 interceptions and rushes 6 more in. So very productive first year. But Oklahoma fans are similar to Philly fans, I guess, in the NFL. And in 2021, Rattlers starts the season favorite to win the Heisman, but the fans were jumping on him the first chance they got. There were
To
some
be fair,
losses.
he
He
did
didn't play great.
badly.
He had some bad games, but the entire team played
Yes.
badly. The defense didn't help him out either. The fans jumped on him, and he was benched in the Texas game before half time for Caleb Williams, some guy that came in. It meant that by the end of the season, as he didn't get any more game time, he entered the transfer portal. Again, he had a pick of several teams to go to, but he picked South Carolina. The majority of the season isn't great while he's finding his feet, but there were 2 big wins at the end of the season, where he threw for 438 yards and 6 touchdowns over Tennessee, who were the fifth-ranked team, so it wasn't a scrub team. Next week he beats Clemson, which I'm sure you'd love, with 360 passing
Yep.
yards and 2 touchdowns. So he ends the season on a high and showing what they can do next year. And then 2023, he solidified his place as one of the better QBs in this class, and he was voted MVP at the Senior Bowl as well. So what I really love about Spencer Rattler is a guy that was overly pushed when he was younger, didn't really know how to handle it, made some bad decisions. The pressure got too much at Oklahoma. He has to leave Oklahoma, go to another school, a slightly lower school, but he doesn't complain. He's matured. And when you listen to interviews with him now, you watch how he plays, I think he's really kind of blossomed into the QB that they were talking about back in high school. But everyone jumped off him, and people are so hard to get back onto a positive footing with some people. There are a couple of things that he did when he was much younger that have tainted the opinion, I think, and it's just stuck. But what we're dealing with here is an extremely good quarterback, an extremely mature quarterback who's been through a lot more adversity than some other quarterbacks that are going to be taken in round one for this draft. I really like him. He's not a day one starter, obviously,
You're not
but
kidding.
but he is someone that could eventually become a starter, a much better option than say a Sam Darnold or someone. I think if you give him a year or two to sit and learn, he could be at least Geno Smith. He could be at least that's his floor, I think, is Geno Smith.
Which Geno Smith? Jets Geno
Well,
Smith.
the Seahawks, Geno Smith, obviously, he's been through the Jets thing when he was back at Oklahoma. He's done
Indeed.
all that. He's done the immature stuff. He is not. He's going to come in a very mature head. He's going to be eager to learn, and he's been through the crap. So I think he's going to be a perfect person to have in your QB room as the backup. He's not going to threaten the starter in on day one or
Mhm.
even year one, but he's a guy that you can groom to potentially be the guy in 2 or 3 years' time. You stash him, you teach him, and you watch him grow. And I think he will respond to that. I love
Which team?
Spencer Rattler.
I mean, it
Ah,
makes sense for it to be Seattle, right? Because Seattle will have
yeah,
a starter for a year or two, maybe.
could be. Yeah, could be Pittsburgh. I don't know. I wouldn't mind if he was our QB3. I don't mind.
Interesting.
Wherever he goes, I think he will eventually, unless you've got like a Joe Burrow or someone that's healthy, you've got an entrenched starter. I think he will eventually knock that person out. Although you'll see enough through training that the whispers will start to become quite loud. That actually this guy
Yeah.
that we've got that's second in the depth chart should maybe be starting a few games. Give him a chance. I think he'll take the opportunity.
That's all dependent on how you started as more than your backup though.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just saying that I think he's got the right attitude. That's
Which
what I'm
is
looking
why,
for is the attitude as well, and I think he's
yeah,
got it in spades.
yeah, which is why at Pittsburgh he's more likely to get an opportunity because you're going to have bad starting QB play for the next couple of years.
Says you,
Anyway,
Dave. Says you.
we'll see, we'll see. So I'm tempted to pivot off and do Michael Pratt, but I'm just a fan of his. I can't give you anything more in depth. I think he's
Is that before or
uh,
after the injury?
after. There's a lot of injuries with
Ooh,
quarterbacks this year.
he's never
Um,
quite recovered, has he?
no, but at the same time, I think I like him going from Tulane, going to Miami,
Hmm.
sit behind Tua, have a couple of years, really learn and really grow. But let's be honest, he's probably going to go in the third or fourth round. So
Maybe.
maybe.
So who is your fifth one then? If it's not
So
Michael
my
Pratt,
fifth and final is Evan Anderson.
okay.
So Evan Anderson plays in Florida, Florida Athletics. So he's playing at a very, very low level. But you watch any of his games and he swallows the middle. Um, I think he's a fifth, sixth, seventh round pick. I think he goes to an AFC West team because the Chargers are going to be a running team dynamite. So any other team just having a nose tackle who can just sit there and swallow running backs. I mean, honestly, watch his highlights. It's running back goes through the line. Evan Anderson takes him down, takes him down, takes him down, takes him down. It is incredible. Even when you try to run outside zone, it's that thing of he has the ability to just recognize play and pull out. And you've never seen a guy who's 330 pounds or whatever he is running out wide and chasing down a running back on the shortcut is something to behold. He's massive, he's brilliant, he's fun to watch, always got a smile on his face, the most amazing haircut. I love him. So there you go.
That's what I like to hear. He's got the
Yeah.
haircut.
Oh, honestly, so
Helmet doesn't
good.
interfere.
Hey, no, it's fine.
It's good. Okay.
Hey man, if Robbie Chosen or whatever his name is this week can get a
Hmm.
helmet on, anyone can get a helmet on because that is a do.
Just
But
looking
yeah,
down, PFF a month ago had him at 247 on their big board,
how many players get drafted? What 280 is it? Yeah, it's sort of fifth,
something
sixth, or
like that.
seventh.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he'll be around about the fifth, sixth, or seventh round, but he's a
A day
genuine,
three.
yeah, he's a genuine sort of defensive tackle who you could look at and go, Jesus, you got him in the sixth.
Mm.
That's these real decent quality. He's not going to be. I mean, he's not going to be an Ashawn Robinson, for example. He's not going to be a guy who's going to start, but it's not going to surprise me if he becomes a second down specialist. Because it's like, right, first down, teams try and throw the ball. Second down, run it to make it third and short. Third down, they're going to throw it. So he's going to come in, do a really good job. I see him being a real weapon within the defense, and that's what we're looking for. He's going to have a 10-year NFL career if he comes in and does what he did in Florida.
And if you can run off the pitch within one snap, that'll help as well, by the sounds of it.
Well, maybe the thing is, again, if you're throwing, it'd go in for first and second down because it's not always
Mm.
guaranteed someone's going to throw it on first down.
Hmm.
So third down, see where it is.
Yeah.
You might just have to run off the pitch either side. Who knows?
Get off
It's
the
like
pitch.
I'm going to go and stand with the. I'm going to go stand with the Chargers. You don't play for them. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just on that side. It's fine. I'm off the field. So yeah, Evan Anderson,
Interesting.
Florida Athletic. So I think any in the AFC West. I was looking for a real run stopper, and you
Hmm.
start looking at different things, and you see bits on Twitter, and someone mentioned Evan Anderson. I was like, don't know him. Go and have a look at some tape. And again, everything that goes near him, he swallows up. His wingspan is the size between. He could literally, if he stood there and held his arms out, he'd touch each hash. It's unbelievable. So yeah,
Awesome.
good player. I've got one
Evan
more
Anderson.
for you as well.
You can have an honourable mention, I guess.
Honorable mention, and I mention him because I think he's a stealer. I think he's a stealer through and through. And I think he goes again in about sort of the fifth or sixth round. And he's going to be a guy who you're going to look at and say, he is a steal. How the hell did we get him there? My comp for him is Jack Campbell. He's a multi-year captain.
Okay.
So JD Bertrand is his name. So he played for Notre Dame. I
Notre
think
Dame.
so. Ward number 27, and the reason that's significant is because Notre Dame don't have names on their back ever. So
Yeah.
you look for numbers and you just notice 27 constantly.
I've
So
watched him. I've seen some of him.
you've seen him. He's
Yeah,
great, right?
he has an extensive injury history. I've got here that I wrote down.
Well, I mean, anyone who plays middle linebacker is going to.
He's a
Um,
disruptor, but he can get leveraged out of underneath blocks and yeah, pretty good
no, you
read of
see,
the quarterback and
that's just
noisy.
that's
He's
scouting
noisy.
report. That's all that is. That's just scouting report. So as a third down specialist as a sophomore, which
Hmm.
is almost never happens. Played Mike linebacker, also was blitzing off the edge as well. In terms of experience, he's played in college. You talk about injuries. He's played 1,959 snaps on defense.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, there's and not all of them he took a hit either. I'm just saying it was unbelievable. Against USC this year, if you want to watch a highlight, go and watch a game against USC.
Mm.
Caleb Williams took the snap, goes backwards sort of 5, 6 yards, whatever, goes to hand it off to Austin Jones, who's the USC running back. And it's 4th and 1, as I say, I think it's second quarter. And just as handing it off, turns around and JD Bertrand's in his face. Um, and then what happens is the running back Jones, Austin Jones, and Caleb Williams both grab onto the ball to try and hold it, and JD Bertrand wrestles both of them to the ground, and then it's unbelievable. It's one of my favorite plays. Absolutely love it. Um, and it ended up being for a 5 yard loss and a turnover on downs. So
Nice.
as I say, is just to have that middle linebacker captain feels like a stealer. I don't get why he's so low. I really don't. I wouldn't put him as a 5th rounder. I think if you can calm him down a bit and not be so boisterous and allow him, because he plays great in coverage as well, then I think you've got a real steal. And I don't buy into this rank of 350 or whatever some people have him. It's a load of nonsense.
Rank of 350. Don't know
Yeah.
what that is.
So there you go. JD
Okay.
Bertrand.
Don't explain. No explanations. No apologies. Fine.
Of what?
What a 300 rank is. What are you
Oh, I
talking
was
about?
being
Or
facetious. I'm just
350?
saying that, yeah, people have him ranked at low down as a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick.
Oh,
He's a lot better than that. I was being facetious in terms of
okay.
350.
Okay.
It's as you want. Hopefully Jim's managed to source a highlight of him and put it on the screen.
I'm sure
Um,
I have.
and he's a guy who, as I say, just jumps off today. By the way, good luck finding highlights of Rashad Neal. Sorry, Rashid
Rasheen
Ali.
Ali, you can't even say his
Yeah,
name.
good luck finding. I was looking at another player then as well. Yeah, good luck finding highlights of him. Best of luck.
Thanks, Dave.
Just put highlights of rugby league on there. Just see if anyone notices.
Those are our favourites. We're going to be looking out for them in the later days of the draft. Something else to keep an eye out then, guys, who they're going to. But yeah, that's it. So until next time, I've been Jim. That's been Never Dave /Finn. And thank you very much for watching.